And welcome to the Readiness Institute Speaker Series. My name is Justin Aglio, Executive Director of the Readiness Institute at Penn State. The Readiness Institute, a Penn State outreach initiative, enables education, industry, and community partners to coordinate, collaborate, and create experiences for learners to achieve community and future readiness. And today's topic is Industry 4.0, and we're thrilled today to welcome the Chancellor at Penn State, New Kensington, Dr. Kevin Snider. Welcome, Kevin, to the Readiness Institute Speaker Series.
Great. Thank you very much, Justin. Delighted to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. So, Kevin, I'm going to jump into just getting the audience and listeners to know you a little bit better. And can you take a minute just to explain your personal and professional pathway and how you got to be the Chancellor at Penn State, New Kensington?
Absolutely. Just quickly, I've had a kind of an interesting life. I was adopted in Canada, in Calgary when I was a baby. I spent a year, 3 years, 4 years there, and then went to Pittsburgh, and then went over to Nigeria. Spent 4 years there. Went back to Pittsburgh for a year, to Malawi for two and a half, to boarding school in England for one, to Moscow, Idaho, of all places, for a year, to San Francisco, to Fresno, California, and then off to DC for graduate school, and then back to Terre Haute, Indiana, where I was a director of institutional research and testing. And from there, I rose up through the administrative ranks and became what is called a chief assistant to the president, chief of staff. And there I was able to just get involved in all kinds of great projects, trying to figure out how higher ed can help students and communities and things like that. And when my time there was done, I was looking for somewhere to keep doing that. And Penn State, New Kensington opened up, and I applied, and I've been here about 15 years, and I love it. And wow. I don't know if your audience knows what a chancellor does.
So explain, please, let him explain what a chancellor does. Please take a minute and explain.
I was hoping they could tell me, Justin, but I'll give it a shot. Essentially, a chancellor runs the campus, and so we are kind of the head of the campus of a college campus, which means we have people that report to us that do admissions, that do marketing, that teach, that provide services, all those kinds of things report up through us. So then we set a strategic direction for the institution that we're heading. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Well, Kevin, I can definitely say that your personal and professional pathway was obviously one of the most unique ones, probably the most unique ones we ever had here on a speaker series. So thanks for sharing that. Kevin, for this episode, the topic's Industry 4.0. And you're a national leader, regional leader, national, international leader within this topic of Industry 4.0. And can you just take a couple minutes and explain what is Industry 4.0 and why is it so important? And please feel free to share your screen or anything you want to help explain that. So I know it's an important topic. It's a national topic, international topic, and you're the leader when it comes to this space. And so thank you so much for explaining to the audience and really everyone, what is Industry 4.0 and just why is it so important? And yes, we could see your screen.
Excellent. Thank you, Justin. And that's quite the intro. A lot of expectation there. I think I need to take you everywhere because I don't know if I'm an international expert on this, but I have to say, I appreciate it. Yeah, Industry 4.0 is something that came out of Germany. It is a description of basically some major influences on manufacturing, right? And so our lives, our products, the way that we build things, the way that we consume things has been defined by these kind of eras within, or defined by industry and what's happening in industry. And so if you look at the slide here, the first real industry was Industry 1.0, which they didn't call it that at that time. That's what we're calling it. And that's the day of the steam engine. When the steam engine came, it took power, it added to the power of humans. And all of a sudden you could do things with a steam engine, like you could drive a train across the country. You could build machines that did human work. You could weave clothes very, very quickly. You know, those kinds of things that really started mass production And that had a tremendous impact on society and on human development. And then we got into the industry 2.0, which if you ever, I don't know if the students here have seen those old movies of people on a production line and they're, moving stuff and the line's running and, they're going through and the line is being driven by electricity and it's being done very, very fast for those days. And it's allowing for the production of things like cars. So you could mass produce cars. And all of a sudden, a lot of people had cars and they could drive around and that really had an impact on society. And before then, people were kind of located locally, didn't really move around a lot. Cars, trains, those kinds of things that were defined by industry wanted to really change life in the world. And so that had a tremendous impact. And then the third industrial revolution was automation, computers, electronics. And so now if you see those same lines, it's not a person moving the stuff, it's a machine, it's a robot moving it from one thing to the next, generated by computers. Okay, so that's those are the three. I hope that was clear.
Yes.
What's the fourth industrial revolution? Well, I found out about the fourth industrial revolution about 5-6 years ago. And it came to me from business and industry who said, we're in a whole different world here. We're in a world where technology is driving everything and it is so quick and the advances are so fast that we're struggling to keep up and we need to keep up. And so what they talked about was a different business model. Let's see if I can get that for you. One where if you are a big company like Siemens, right? You are beholden to something called stakeholders. And stakeholders are people that have invested in that company and they put a lot of money into it and they want to get a lot of money out. And they want to do that all the time. It's not my favorite model, but that's the way it is. So what they are forcing companies to do is, how do I get as much out of each year that I can? How can I get as much money generated? How can I come up with a new product? How can I improve my old product? How can I do all those kinds of things? And that pressure is forcing companies to go into the digital age. So I'll give you a good example. And I think, Justin, we talked about this before. If you have an iPhone and you want to send a camera, you want to make a camera for this iPhone, you don't build a camera and then send it to the company. There's no time for them to test it out. It's too expensive. It's too it takes too much time. What they do is ask you to send a virtual replicate of that phone, right? And then you or of that camera, and then they put it in their virtual phone on a computer and they test it. They drop it in pretend water, they throw it up in pretend air, they do all kinds of things to it. And they can do that in a world where the virtual environment is very similar to what it would be in a physical environment. And then they make a decision. And so the technology that they have on digital twinning is also changing. And so everything's moving much quicker. And so what Industry 4.0 is for business and industry are these types of technologies, augmented and virtual reality. Well, okay, what's that? Well, many of you play video games. You're in a virtual reality environment, right? Augmented reality is if you have ever put on the Google goggles and you are kind of in a real environment and you're also in a gaming environment. Or if you have gone with your parents or your friends and you've gone online and your mom or dad wants to buy a couch, they can now in some stores take the couch and with their phones see what it looks like in their own living room. That's augmented reality. It's a merging of the two. That's having tremendous impact on how we market, how we communicate, how we get into in the future, how we service products, all those kinds of things. And what drives that really is software and coding, Justin. So really behind all of this are people that are writing code to create these environments. The third is robotics and 3D manufacturing. This is having a tremendous impact on in a number of ways that I'll go to in a minute. Cloud computing and cybersecurity is really huge. Cloud computing, and I'm going to give you an example of this in a minute, so I'm not going to talk about it just yet, is really about where we store data. It used to be when, when your parents were working on their computer, everything that they were accessing on their computer was stored on the computer. Now, a lot of that will be stored up in the cloud. They call it the cloud. It's data that's on servers that are away from your computer, right? But they are massive. They allow for huge amounts of data that you can access and access very quickly. AI and machine learning, it's interesting. Right before this meeting, Justin, I was in a discussion with someone from MIT about what's happening in artificial intelligence, and that's what AI is. And AI, it refers to machines actually learning. They go through a process of test and error billions and billions of times. And so what this person did was he typed in a sentence in a computer, boating in Pittsburgh. And Justin, you'll know why I had that one in there. And the computer put out a picture of boats in Pittsburgh. And I said, and is that what you were after? No, the boats need to be in water, not on land. He adjusted it, and by the time we ended, the machine had actually produced a picture of boats in water. So that type of testing of thinking about, okay, is this the correct answer? No. Is this the correct answer? No. Is this the correct answer? Yes. Is this the correct answer? No. Billions and billions of times, all in a fraction of, or all in a second, is what AI learning is about. And that's changing a lot of different things. So for instance, if you are on your video game and you run into an error and you decide, you know what, I don't think your generation does that much, but if you decide to actually pick up a phone and call somebody and the company answers, there's a good chance that the person answering the machine isn't a person. It's actually a virtual voice that is learned from all of the people that have called into it before. And then you have business intelligence, digital services, and other things here. And what I'm kind of getting away from things, so I'll do two things that are very important. One is data analytics. All this comes down to data. So if I was a student in school right now, I would really get into data analytics, analyzing information, turning data into information, being able to analyze those types of things. And there are lots of programs that will help you do that. And then sensors and edge computing is another one that's going to be important. And it's going to be important because it really has an impact on a lot of different things. So I want to show you, if I can.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is going to come in because, it's funny, Justin, I am so old. I talk about technology every day, but I am horrible at using it. So if it doesn't work, let me know. But I'm hoping that you have on your screen a different picture of a sentence that says a future world of driverless cars.
It's circling. So
it's still
example one, driverless cars, and some of the things you mentioned while this is loading up, I dropped in the chat, like the openai.com is the picture you were talking about. It just came out last month, which is a really cool technology. Yeah, so you stop sharing your screen, just give you a heads up.
Yep.
Okay, here it comes back on. And
right again, and if not, I'll just go to the actual website. Is it still circling for you?
It's not, it's just a little hand. It's not circling at all anymore.
Well, this is technology. So what I'm planning on showing you, if I can get to it, is an example of how some of these technologies that I just shared with you are combining to change our world in the future. And I think, one of the areas, and I think many of your audience have probably seen, if they're in the Pittsburgh area, a car driving around the world or the city, right, without a driver in it. And can you see this now?
Yeah, we can see the YouTube video.
Okay,
and
so I'm going to scoot
playing. Yep.
Because I'm not going to show the whole thing, and hopefully we won't have to. Okay. So what a driverless car is doing, and I'm not putting the sound on here. This is a driverless car, the red one. It is assessing through sensors how close it is to another vehicle. And the computer, when it's doing this, it's not accessing a computer on board. It's assessing data that is on the cloud made by every driverless car that has ever been on the road and every driverless car that is on the road in real time. And it's assessing through that same process, 0, 1, 0, 1, yes, no, yes, no, yeah. Am I too close? Am I too close? What's happening when I'm too close? And so it's learning from that, and it's allowing these driverless cars to go in ways that we never would be able to do ourselves. So this is what happens when we drive, right? We're making decisions. Every single human being is making a decision. Sometimes those are wrong. They run a red light, they take a left turn, they hit a pedestrian. And if you take the person out, and let me go back to that again. If you take the person out, this is what's happening. The computer, through that sensors that I just showed you, they're making the decision. So here, this is an example. All these things are happening. People are thinking, okay, do I go now? Do I not go now? Some will go, some won't. If you go to a virtual environment with driverless cars, this is what our roads are going to be like.
That's amazing.
You know, and that has a significant impact in a lot of different ways. One is that, you know, if you think from an environmental point of view, most of our emissions, not most, but a lot of our emissions are spent sitting at stoplights, waiting to move, right? Or stuck in traffic. Driverless cars will eliminate that. They will also allow many of you and the students here to sit back and play their video games while they're going up to State College or coming up to Penn State, New Kensington. So, you know, there's that added benefit. So that's a little bit of one technology. And the point about that technology is that it is really, it's taking advantage of several of the things that I showed you, right? Software encoding, cloud computing. So all the information is stored on cloud. Sensors on the cars that are sensing where the other cars are. These cars aren't just looking at the environment, they're talking to the other cars. So they know that a car is coming toward them. They know that a car is coming this way. They know all of that because they're communicating together in ways that we could never do as human beings. So a lot of stuff happening in that example from this technology that is really affecting manufacturing, but it's affecting all of our lives. And if it's okay, Justin, I have just two more examples and we can move on if that's all right.
That's fine with me. Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to go to robots and let's see if this one will work, which I hope. So you've heard a lot about robots. I don't know how many of your audience knows that in Japan, they're using robots right now to, this isn't working for whatever reason. They're using robots. I won't give the example. They're using robots to essentially take care of old people, right? So people that are alone in their homes, the robot will come in. It's been trained to know when you're smiling, to know when you're frowning, to detect your voice and whether or not you sound like you're depressed or happy. It can grab things for you. It learns how to do a number of different things. And so robots in the future in our homes will help do a lot of things like students, maybe even clean your room, which would be great. So
it sounds like the movie Big Hero 6, the Disney movie, Big Hero 6 with Baymax. It had a robot that actually took care of people as their aid when they were sick or like their emotions, like you said. And it's funny because the story behind the movie was they had a prototype to do this, but it was all made of metal and clunky. And they went to several roboticists and they said, is this a good model? And they said, no, it's gonna hurt you if you bump up against it. So the hero, the story, Big Hero 6, Baymax, the character, was a very soft cushion-like machine because that's what, you know, when it comes to taking care of yourself, it needed to be something like that where it's soft and didn't actually hurt you, but helped you. So it's fascinating that it's coming to life, these visions.
You know, it's amazing how much, and I'm older than your students and older than you, but how much of the things that we saw when I was a kid have now come to fruition. You know, in our generation, it was Star Trek, right? That was a big science fiction thing, and Captain Kirk, the big hero, would flip a phone and talk into it. And now, you know, 60 years later or something, they're flip phones. I often wonder, would it be a flip phone if it wasn't for Captain Kirk, or would it be something else, whatever was on that show? Who knows, right? Yeah. So Industry 4.0 is about the technologies that are here in our lives and are affecting us every day, and we don't even know it in many ways. I read somewhere that there are more sensors being created than grains of rice. I don't know if that's true.
That's
but
amazing.
That is a lot of sensors, and these sensors are in everything. They're in my watch, they're in phones, they're in cars. Soon they'll be in clothing. They'll be in your glasses. They're in buildings. They're in refrigerators. And as we move forward in the future, you'll be able to open up the fridge, take out the last gallon of milk, and the fridge will automatically order another gallon of milk for you from the store, and it will be delivered by a robot. So what does that mean for our students, Justin?
So, well, my question I was going to ask you is, I see a building behind you, and it's a beautiful building. And when it comes to Industry 4.0, what's it mean for our students and our communities? What's something being done right now? And I think you have a great answer for that, that addresses what we can do for students, for community members, to redevelop communities that need a new twist on economic development, or how they're moving just in the direction of the future of Industry 4.0, even going to 5.0, right? We don't know what that looks like yet. But so I guess the question to you is, what are you doing and as a best practice to solve this for students? Because I mean, what you talked about, yeah, it's here every day, it's influencer in life, but what's something you are currently working on right now? And I think you have a great answer, and this is why you're an international expert to solve this.
What a great segue to our Digital Foundry. So I appreciate that very much. And before I get to that, I'll show you this. What we're doing is we understood very early that we needed to prepare not only our students at Penn State, New Kensington with these skills, but an entire region.
Yeah.
Your students, our students, people in the community that are working, people that are unemployed, underemployed, you name it. And so we put the structures in place to provide students and all those stakeholders I mentioned in community and education and business and industry and local government with an ability to become future ready in education, right? And what does that mean? That means being aware of what technologies are out there and how it affects you. And your students have incredible opportunities to engage in some of these things, really through the Readiness Institute is a leader, a national leader in how to connect students to thinking about the future. And so students, I really want to encourage you to do whatever Justin says and learn as much as you can. In New Kensington, one of the things that we are doing, because it's very expensive to get all these technologies, right? I mean, how do you keep up? And what we're doing is, in order to provide the training for all of the stakeholders I mentioned, is we've built this thing called the Digital Foundry. Now, students in this area, one of the big drivers of your parents and your grandparents' lives was manufacturing, really around steel, right? I'm willing to bet, because this area was just a steel capital. In New Kensington, we were the aluminum capital of the world. At least we like to think so, for many years. And then it fell out, it went away, it died. And people were kind of left without an opportunity to work. And so people left the area. What we're hoping to do with the Digital Foundry is manufacturing is coming back. And there are 5,000 manufacturers in this area that need these types of skills, that need digital readiness skills. They need people who can produce the digital twins of a phone or of a camera that I talked about, or work on the technology that allows the cars to go like this, right? Or apply those technologies to other fields. And so what we are trying to do is, in the Digital Foundry, we're taking advantage of the fact that there are lots of companies that want to help those 5,000 manufacturing companies in the area. And so they're going to be putting those technologies in our Digital Foundry. And so the manufacturing companies will come in, learn about the technologies, be able to apply them into their businesses. But the beauty of that is we get access to the technology. So you'll have opportunities through the Readiness Institute to come up into the Foundry, to learn about what's happening, to see some real life examples, maybe play a little bit with the robotics, play a little bit with AI, play a little bit with Google goggles, things like that, to help you understand and see and become aware of the technology. And then at Penn State, New Kensington, for our students, they're learning how to do all of these things. And we get to do that because of the technology that's coming in to help manufacturing. And we're also doing workforce development training because, if you work in a store, your job, and you're a checker, that job, as you already know, is going to go away. And now they have stores where you can walk in with your phone. You don't even have to sign in. You just take stuff off the shelf, put it in a basket, and walk out. And the phone just captures all of the pricing that you have. So, and then those shelves are being stocked by robots. So, what are the skills that you need to be able to survive in that world? And that's what we're about. We want to help provide those skills, and we're working closely with Readiness Institute, which is just a fabulous asset in this area to help students get familiar with the same type of thing.
Kevin, what a tremendous opportunity for New Kensington, for the students attending New Kensington, Penn State, New Kensington, and that community. And the Digital Foundry is located in the middle of the New Kensington community. It's not located at the campus. It's located right in the middle. So community members have access with students to do this. And I think that's so important, and what a tremendous opportunity. And I applaud you. And when we talked, we had discussions about Industry 4.0, we said we have to talk to Kevin and his team at New Kensington, Penn State, because as you could see, they're not just leading the efforts in education, but they're the leading experts when it comes to this topic, Industry 4.0. And before I give special thanks, if you have questions and you're listening right now, please feel free to put them in the chat. And I'd like to, first of all, thank Emma, our program manager behind the scenes here, doing this speaker series. And if you want to listen to this later on, you can go to readinessinstitute.psu.edu. There will be a recording of this on YouTube either tomorrow, Friday, or Monday. So please check that out. We will also share it out via social media. And a huge, huge special thanks to Kevin, Dr. Snider, and his team at New Kensington for, again, being the experts. What an asset Southwestern Pennsylvania has right here. I cannot say that enough. It's an asset to this region because we know the future are in classrooms today. And I'm so proud that Penn State New Kensington is leading that effort in educating the community, students, to be part of the future, not something that they will just get smacked in the face when they go into the world. They actually get to create the future that is happening right here in this region, and hopefully nationally as well, as they go to pursue their careers after they graduate Penn State, New Kensington. But Kevin, I do not see any questions in the chat right now, but any closing comments or anything that you want to share about Industry 4.0, really about anything that you think listeners would like to hear now, or as they watch the recording, they can reach out, maybe some contact information or anything like that, or just any closing comments.
Absolutely. And I see Emma put the Digital Foundry link in the chat. So if you're interested in going directly to that, you can. I'll put my ad or email address in here as well. In closing, I think it is so important that students for their lives to become aware of technology and not be afraid of it. And generally students that are in high school, middle school, elementary school, they're being introduced to some of these things already, Justin, so they're not as afraid as someone my age sometimes in the technology. But this is going to be a part of our world. And the more that you can learn about it, play with it, have fun with it, think about it, apply it, the greater opportunities that you're going to have in your lives. And the more, from a regional point of view, it's really important to, I think, the region, that we train our students, our future, to be the best possible workforce, the best possible experts in these technologies that they can. It will help business and industry, but it will also help them as they grow. And I wish, in some ways, Justin, not always, but one of the things I really wish I had was an opportunity to be a young student again, with all of these opportunities and just the excitement that's coming out And so to be able to see it through their eyes a little bit and introduce them to this world is something that is a passion of mine. And I think is a passion of everyone that's associated with the Digital Foundry. And I know it's a passion of yours, and we're just delighted to be working with you. And thank you, by the way, for what you do to bring this knowledge or this awareness to students all across the Pittsburgh region.
Oh, thank you. And you're 100% right. I mean, we are living in the greatest generation, or students are growing up in the greatest generation of opportunity in history, and it's right in front of them in their fingertips. And that's one of the things that I know you do, and we stress about it all the time, is the fact that, instead of wishing and thinking of things, you can be doing things, and
Yep.
the stuff's right in front of you. So, and it's endless, the possibilities. So, Kevin, thank you so much. This is one of my favorite episodes we have done this year. And so thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please reach out to Kevin and his email address. How often do you get a chancellor of an amazing university say, hey, here's my email, contact me? Don't waste that opportunity. Please reach out to him. Check out all the resources Penn State New Kensington has. If you ever get a chance, please go visit the campus. It's an amazing campus. I know several students at the Readiness Institute who participated last year are attending Penn State New Kensington next year. So we're really excited about that. Kevin, thank you for you and your team. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, people listening. And if you're going to listen to this in the future on the recorded series, thank you for listening as well. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you.